Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday evening. Once again, we've got a lesson. We're going to go through Bala Sulam's article, and today we're going to go through the general preface. So you probably got the link on the email, and it's probably on YouTube. So let's have a talk about the preface first. Now, if you're following B'nai Baruch lessons, especially the morning ones, lately you'll know that we started studying the Talmud Eser Sefirot. It means the study of the 10 Sefirot. So I thought it might be a good idea, since we're studying the 10 Sefirot, might be a good idea to do an article that will give us a bit of an introduction to that lesson, to that book actually, and how we study it. And the preface was actually a good way of starting it. So Talmud Eser Sefirot is Baal HaSulam's compilation and his commentary on the book Tree of Life, written by the Ari in the 15th century. So the Ari was a great Kabbalist, and we're also obviously learning his sources, which is the Tree of Life, and with the commentary, it's known as the Talmud Eser Sefirot, Talmud Eser Sefirot. The 10 Sefirot, study of the 10 Sefirot. So what we want to do is get our heads around what this book is talking about. But the most important thing when we study anything in the wisdom of Kabbalah is to actually want to attain what the Kabbalists are talking about. So even if we don't understand what the texts are talking about, we certainly don't, because we're not there, we're not in attainment. What we want to do is we want to build inside of us a desire to be in their place, to be in the same exalted levels of spirituality as they are. So if we study the texts with a desire to attain, to be in that level of spirituality, then certainly that will push us forward. It'll attract us forward as well. It'll pull us towards spirituality. Why? Because just like in life, when we want something, the desire to want that specific thing pulls us forward to attain it. And so is the case here. So let's study. Let's see what Baal HaSulam is trying to tell us. And like I said, this might be a bit new, so you might feel a bit lost in the text. You might find it a little difficult, not understood, and so on. That's all fine, but we've got to start somewhere, right? So let's just start, see how we go. It's a long article. It's a preface to a 6-volume book. So this is going to take a bit of time for us to get through, maybe 2-3 weeks, or maybe 4 even, but we'll do our best. And, we'll try to get our head around it. This will also help us, help all of you guys, if you're listening to the morning lessons as well, to blend in and to connect to the, like I said, the Talmud Eser Sefirot book as well. So let's read. This is Baal HaSulam's article. It's General Preface. It's called General Preface. You can find it in Kabbalah.info under content of Baal HaSulam. So let's start. And if you've got any questions, just shoot it through. All right. So, to the proficient in the Tree of Life, and to everyone as in first learn, then comprehend. Item 1. So what we want to do is learn first. And we want to learn it, which means learning means to actually feel it. So once we feel it, we can then understand what we feel. Just like in this world as well, you can't just understand something in life. You have to feel it. Then you have to understand. You've got to bring a meaning to what you feel. Then you have this, you have this balance between feeling and understanding. So this is what we want to do. We want to learn, we want to live these things, and then we want to bring a meaning to what we're going through, and that will be our spirituality. So item 1, our sages said, there is not a blade of grass below that does not have an angel above that strikes it and tells it to grow. This seems very perplexing, for why would the Creator trouble an angel from above with striking and nursing a tiny, insignificant blade of grass? Yet the saying is one of creation's secrets, that there are too long to interpret. This is so because the heart of the infinitely wise wishes to reveal a portion and conceal two portions with their golden allegories, as they are weary of revealing the Torah to an unworthy disciple. It is for this reason that our sages said that one does not learn from legends, as legends are sealed and blocked before the masses, and are revealed only to a chosen few in a generation. And we also find in the book of Zohar that Rashbi instructed Rabbi Abba to write the secrets, because he knew how to reveal with intimation. See in the Idra, where it is written that for each secret that Rashbi disclosed in the wisdom, he could cry and say, "Woe if I tell, woe if I do not tell. If I do not tell, my friends will lose that word. And if I tell, the wicked will know how to serve their master." This means that he was in distress from both angles. If he did not reveal the secrets of the Torah, the secrets would be lost from the true sages who fear God. And if he did reveal the secrets, people of no merit would fail in them, for they would not understand the root of the matters and would eat unripe fruit. Hence, Rashbi chose Rabbi Abba to write, because of his wisdom in allegories, to arrange things in such a way that would be sufficiently revealed to those who are worthy of understanding them, and hidden and blocked from those unworthy of understanding them. This is why he said that Rabbi Abba knew how to reveal with intimation. In other words, although he revealed, it still remains a secret to the unworthy. However, in the Zohar, they promised us that this wisdom is destined to be completely revealed at the end of days, even for little ones. And they also said that with this composition, the children of Israel would be redeemed from exile, meaning that with the appearance of the wisdom of truth, Israel will be rewarded with complete redemption. And we also see that the words of the Zohar and the hidden secrets in the wisdom of truth are being gradually revealed, generation by generation, until we are rewarded with revealing all this wisdom. And at that time, we will be rewarded with complete redemption. To clarify the text with which we began, we shall first explain the verse in the famous book of creation, where it is written of the 10 Sefirot being 10 and not 9, 10 and not 11. Most of the interpreters have already examined it, but we will explain it our own way, so matters will be revealed to all who seek the word of God. Yet, it is known that the 10 Sefirot are called Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Chod, Yesod, Malchut. It is written in the Ari's Gate to Introductions in the section Hadat that there are actually 5 Bechinot, discernments: Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut. But Zerampin comprises 6 Sefirot, Hagat Nehi. I have written at length about the 10 Sefirot within this composition, so here I would briefly say that in this general preface, I wish to give the student a true and general knowledge of the majority of this expansive wisdom and true orientation in the style of study. In the book, The Tree of Life, most students fail to understand the matters since the spiritual concepts are above time and above place, but they're expressed in corporeal terms, pictured and set in times and places. Additionally, in the writings of the Ari, No order for beginners is arranged in this wisdom. The books were composed by the holy words that he would say before his students day by day, and the students themselves were proficient in the wisdom of truth. Hence, there is no text, long or short, in all the books that were written, which does not require true proficiency in the wisdom in general. For this reason, the students grow weary and cannot connect matters altogether. Thus, I have come out with this preface to connect the matters and the foundations of the wisdom in a concise manner, so it will be readily available to the student with every text he may wish to study in the writings of the Ari. And for this reason, I do not elaborate or interpret each matter to the fullest, for this will be clarified within my composition. Instead, I summarize sufficiently for my purpose, and our sages said, first learn, then comprehend. The Ari wrote that the 10 Sefirot, Kachab, Hagat, Nehim, are actually 5 Bechinot, Kachab, Zerampin, and Malchut. This is the meaning of the 4-letter name Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. The tip of the Yud is Keter. The Yud is Chochmah. Hey is Bina. Vav is Zerampin, containing 6 Sefirot Hagat Nehi. And the last Hey is Malchut. You should know that the letters and the Sefirot are one thing, but following the rule that no light expands without a kli, a vessel, when we speak of both together, that is, when the light is clothed in the kli, they are called Sefirot. And when we speak of the kelim, the vessels, alone, they are called Otiot. It is written about the light. Okay, you know what? Let's do a bit of explanation because this is quite long, huh? So let's stop there for a second. Okay, because he's now beginning to get technical. Now, he explained to us why he's doing this introduction, because for a student to start to understand authentic Kabbalistic books like the Zohar or the Tree of Life, it's just not possible, right? So he's trying to warm us up to delve into these books. So this introduction is a really nice, comprehensive one where a student can warm himself up and to prepare himself for what is to come, what he's going to study. So he explains here in the book of Zohar that the book of Zohar was written in legends, and it's absolutely impossible for anyone to attain what's there unless that student is already a wise disciple, a wise student, someone who's already in spirituality. And the reason they've clothed the book of Zohar with legends is so that people who are not really giving the proper value to spirituality wouldn't understand what the book was talking about. Until this day, Zohar, the book of Zohar is still considered like it's some like code of ethics or something, and which is completely not true. It's talking only about the feelings and the sensations that exist between the person and the creator, or the whole of nature, you could also say. So it's completely and utterly talking about spirituality, where he mentions also here that it is beyond time, space, and motion. So what he wants to do now is to start giving us a few definitions of everything. So he's going to introduce things for us. And the first thing he introduced is the Ari wrote that the 10 Sefirot, Kachab, Hagat, Nehim, are actually 5 Bechinot, 5 phases. Kachab, Zerampin, and Malchut. This is the meaning of the 4-letter name Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. So you might have heard about Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. You might have seen it in places maybe where you read books. It's also the name of the creator. But this name actually describes to us the structure of reality. So he's saying here the tip of the letter Yud is Keter, the letter Yud itself is Chochmah, Hey is Bina, Vav is Zerampin, and the second Hey, the lower Hey, also known as, is called Malchut. And here in Zerampin, there are 6 Sefirot, Hesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Chod, Yesod. So when we read it, although we call it Zerampin, but sometimes it's also called Hagat Nehi, Hesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Chod, Yesod. And then the last one, like I said, is Malchut. So here he's talking about a few things, and he's defining what the otiyot, the letters, are, and what the Sefirot are. So let's read that bit again, because it's important for us to understand. You should know that the otiyot, the letters, and the Sefirot are one thing. But following the rule that no light expands without a vessel, a kli, when we speak of both together, that is, when the light is clothed in the kli, they are called Sefirot. And when we speak of the kelim, or the vessels, the plural of kli alone, they're called otiyot. So the letters are actually the vessels, but when the light is clothed inside a vessel, then it takes the name of a Sefirot. Sefirot is the plural for Sephirah. So the 10 Sefirot, Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut, the 5 phases. Also, Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Hesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Chod, Yesod, Malchut. Those are 10 Sefirot. Also, like he says here, there can also be 5 discernments, Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut. So there's a vessels which are clothed with the light. So if there is light in the vessel, it becomes a Sephirah. If there's no light in the vessel, it just becomes a letter, otiyot. Otiyot is the plural for letter, so it means letters. And the reason he wants to give us these definitions is simply because he's going to talk about them. And also in the book Talmud Esnar Sefirot, we read about the otiyot, we read about the vessels, the kelim. So we study all these things, and this introduction should give us a nice understanding of what it's talking about, at least to some degree where we can relate one thing with another. It's written about the light that the white in the book of Torah implies the light, and the black in the book of Torah, meaning the letters, implies the kelim, the vessels. This means, as the Ramban interprets concerning I form the light and create darkness, that the matter of eliciting existence from absence is called creator, since it is an innovation, something that did not exist prior to its creation. And in the light, and all the delight and pleasure included in the light, it is not an innovation and elicitation, existence from existence, but rather existence from existence. For the light and all the abundance are already included in his essence. So the light, which is actually what's coming from the Creator, is existence from existence already, but the vessels, the desire to receive, was not there before. So that's something new in creation. For this reason, it is said, from the light, for it is not a matter of creation, but of formation. And here I shall only brush through it. It is known that it is written in the Zohar that the purpose of creation is to delight his creatures, since it is the conduct of the good to do good. Clearly, every wish in him is a mandatory law for the creatures. It follows that since the Creator contemplated delighting his creations, a mandatory nature of wanting to receive his pleasure was immediately imprinted in the creatures. That is, the great desire to receive his abundance. Know that this craving is called a kli with respect to its root. For this reason, Kabbalists have said that there is no light without a kli. since the will to receive included in each emanated being and creature is the Kli, and it is also the full measure of the light. In other words, it receives precisely the measure that it wishes, no more and no less, since there is no coercion in spirituality. And even in the corporeals, it is not from the side of holiness. Clearly, the Kli's form is different from the light's. This is why it's called Kli and not light. But we need to understand the meaning of this disparity of form. Indeed, the will to receive for oneself is a great disparity of form, since this form does not apply to the emanator whatsoever. As from whom would he receive? Rather, it's been initiated in the first emanated by its existence from absence, making in it the will to receive is the cause of causes. All right? So the will to receive is something created out of nothing, never existed before, because who's the creator going to want anything from? So the creator's nature is absolutely bestowal, just giving. So in order to give something to somebody, that somebody needs to have a desire to receive it. So the creator created specifically the desire to receive so that we could want, actually. So we could want what he wants to give us. So this is why we're created as a desire to receive, and this is why the creator is a desire to bestow. So we and the creator, humanity and the creator, or the desire to receive, we can always call it, the desire to receive and the creator are completely opposite, have no relation with each other at all in terms of their form. One of them, they're completely opposite each other. Clearly, the Kli's form is different from the light's. This is why it's called Kli and not light. But we need to understand the meaning of this disparity of form. Indeed, the will to receive for oneself is a great disparity of form, since this form does not apply to the emanator whatsoever. As from whom would he receive? Rather, it's been initiated in the first emanated by its existence from absence, making in it the will to receive is the cause of causes. So the desire to receive pleasure, this is how the creator created us, is the reason for everything that happens, all the bad, including. This clarifies what is written in the Holy Zohar, that the upper Keter is darkness compared to the cause of causes. They're referring to the will to receive included in the first emanation. And they call this disparity of form, which is darkness, since it does not exist in the emanator. For this reason, it is the root of the darkness, which is the color black, compared to the light and opposite from him. Opposite from it, sorry. Any questions up to here? No, nothing yet. Okay. So if you're feeling this is, if you're watching it and you're feeling this is a bit difficult, all right, don't panic. Simply because when you start to learn something initially, there's always a bit of a drama with it because there are technical terms and you want to get your head around it and it's a bit difficult. So mind-boggling, confusing, perplexing, all these things happen. So this is not a problem at all when we're studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, because as much as we chew it, and we will, especially if you're studying with us, if you're in a group and you're studying with Bnei Baruch, and if you're joining us in the morning lessons, you'll see that we're constantly chewing the material all the time, because once you start to chew it, you start to get used to it. What happens, it starts to resonate inside you, it begins to settle down. So understanding it doesn't become the real issue. What you start to aim for, what you start to intend towards, is to actually feel what we're studying. because understanding doesn't give you the feeling of something. We could read, I don't know, you can read a book on how to play a musical instrument, but until you start playing, what could you possibly know? Same here. So until we really start feeling spiritual discernment, spiritual concepts, there's really nothing to talk about with respect to spirituality. But while studying, we should have the inspiration to feel it. And that inspiration is what really attracts the light that reforms, what the Kabbalists call, the more you study with an inspiration, with an aspiration to attain spirituality, the more you're attracted to it, you're more close to it, because our nature is a desire to receive pleasure. So if I want to receive pleasure, spiritual pleasure, by studying spirituality, then every time I study it, if I desire to be in that state, then I'm actually pulling that towards me. I'm nearing it to me. This is also how many things in life work as well. Without wanting anything, I won't actually do anything to get what I want. So the desire is the principal thing for attaining anything in life. And if you don't have a desire, then there's really nothing to talk about. Everything depends on desire. Everything you do in life depends on your desire. All right. Also, it has been explained in Panim Masbirot that as corporeal things are separated from one another by an axe and a hammer, the spirituals are separated from one another by the disparity of form between them. And when the disparity of form increases to the point of oppositeness from one extreme to the other, complete separation is created between them. So separation from the Creator means that we are not in the same form. And this is why we don't feel the Creator in our lives. A lot of people say, well, why don't we feel the Creator if he exists? Well, you know, he's out of our sensory organs, just like we don't feel many things like, I don't know, like radio waves or sound waves that we don't hear or feel. And there are a lot of things in nature which we don't feel, simply because we don't have the sensory organs to capture those things. And this is the same thing here. We don't feel the Creator because the Creator is bestowal and we're reception, and these things are completely opposite. So they've got nothing in common. So there's nothing really to grasp from our end. And we don't even have a desire to bestow. We just want to get pleasure. So our nature is completely detached from this attribute of bestowal. And because we're so opposite, there's no way we can actually feel the Creator at all, as long as we remain in this egoistic nature. So let's read a little bit more. For this reason, it has been explained there that the form of the will to receive is immediately included in all the light that expands from him, but as a hidden potential force. This force is not revealed to the emanated, except when the emanated intensifies the desire to want additional abundance, more than the measure that has expanded in it by the emanator. For example, when the food is tasty, one's desire for more food increases more than one's eating. Hence, after the emanated increases the desire to extend additional abundance more than the measure of its expansion, the actual vessel of reception appear. And the thing is that because this disparity of form does not apply in him, but in the creature, it is completed only by the awakening of the emanated and understand thoroughly. So this is an important thing we need to understand. Let's read this again. I'll take the last 3 paragraphs of item 1 again. Right? Also, it has been explained in Panim Masbirot that as corporeal things are separated from one another by an axe and a hammer, the spirituals are separated from one another by the disparity of form between them. And when the disparity of form increases to the point of oppositeness from one extreme to the other, complete separation is created between them. For this reason, it has been explained that the form of the will to receive is immediately included in all the light that expands from him, but as a hidden potential force. So because we're opposite to the Creator, we don't feel him at all, but everything is actually there, ready for us as soon as we make this switch. So for this reason, it has been explained there that the form of the will to receive is immediately included in all the light that expands from him, but as a hidden potential force. This force is not revealed to the emanated, except when the emanated intensifies the desire to want additional abundance, more than the measure that has expanded in it by the emanator. For example, when the food is tasty, one's desire for more food increases more than one's eating. Hence, after the emanated increases, the desire to extend additional abundance more than the measure of its expansion, the actual vessels of reception appear. And the thing is that because this disparity of form does not apply in him, the Creator that is, but in the creature, it is completed only by the awakening of the emanated and understand thoroughly. So in order for us to advance in receiving pleasure, we have to reveal our desire to receive. Let's read this part again. It's really interesting. For this reason, it has been explained there that the form of the will to receive is immediately included in all the light that expands from him, but as a hidden potential force. This force is not revealed to the emanated except when the emanated intensifies the desire to want additional abundance more than the measure that has expanded in it by the emanator. So for us to feel the Creator, we have to actually reveal greater desire to receive. The greater the desire to receive, the abundance. So the abundance that he's talking about here is what the Creator wants to bestow to the created being. So if we don't have a desire for it, we're never going to get it. So the more desire we have for it, the more of it we reveal. I hope that makes sense, because if we don't have a desire, a big desire, there's no taste in anything. So he's giving us here the example of food. So you're hungry, the greater your appetite, the tastier the food is. And if the food is even extra tasty, then even though you are full, you still want to eat more. And that's the kind of additional desire we have to add to the vessel in order to reveal the Creator. All right, so we are now here at number 2. All right, let me just enlarge this a little bit. Okay. All right, hence the expansion. So we're at item number 2 now. Hence the expansion of his light does not extend the boundary of being an emanator and becomes an emanated until it goes through the 4 bechinot called Chokhmah, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut. This is so because the expansion of his light is called Chokhmah, which is the full measure of the essence of the light that was emanated. And when it intensifies and extends more abundance than the measure of its expansion, it is considered Bechina Bet, called Bina. All right, so let's read that part again, because now he's beginning to expand what's beyond Keter. Okay? So item number 2. Hence the expansion of his light does not extend the boundary of being an emanator and becomes an emanated until it goes through the 4 bechinot called Chokhmah, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut. So in order for us to become emanated, actually, we're not talking about us even here. We're just talking about the desire to receive. So in order for the created desire to receive, it has to go through these 4 phases. Just the first keter, the initial point, is not enough. So the emanator becomes an emanated. So being an let's read that again. Hence, the expansion of his light, the Creator's light, does not extend the boundary of being an emanator and becomes an emanated until it goes through the 4 bechinot called Chokhmah, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut. So the relationship between the vessel and the light goes through these 4 phases, and then the emanated being is finalized. This is so because the expansion of his light is called Chokhmah, which is the full measure of the essence of the light of that emanated. And when it intensifies and extends more abundance than the measure of its expansion, it's called Bechina Bet, the second Bechina, called Bina. Also, 3 discernments should be made in the second Bechina, the second discernment. The first discernment is the essence of the Sephira Bina is Chokhmah. All right, so what do we had? We had Keter and Chokhmah. Now, after Chokhmah, the next phase is Bina, and it's saying that the essence of Bina is actually Chokhmah because Bina is born out of Chokhmah. So its essence is Chokhmah. The second discernment is the intensification of the desire that it manifested, for which the root of the vessel of reception was revealed in her. In that sense, there is disparity of form in her, meaning aviyut, which is the will to receive, compared to the or, which is the light of chokhmah. This is called upper gevurah. So that's the second discernment, the intensification of the desire that's manifested, for which the root of the vessel of reception was revealed in her. In that sense, there is disparity of form in her, meaning aviyut, so there's more will to receive revealed compared to the light, or chokhmah. So that's called upper gevurah. And there's a third discernment. This is the essence of the abundance that she has acquired through an awakening of her own desire. This light is given its own name, or chasadim, which is much lower than the or chokhmah, which expands solely from the emanator. Or chasadim is associated with the intensification of the emanated, as it was mentioned, that the gevurah, which is a light that has been made coarser, became the root of the or chasadim. These 3 discernments together are called Bina, and the second Bechina from Chokhmah. Thus, the 2 Bechinot, Chokhmah and Bina, have been clarified, and the Keter is the Ein Sof, the root of the emanated. So it's important here to understand the lights. So our root is Keter. Okay, that's the creator. So what comes from the creator is then felt in us in different sensations. And those sensations are named here. For example, or chasadim, which is the light is given. Let's read that bit again. So this is the essence of the abundance that she has acquired through an awakening of her own desire. So our own desire to bestow awakens this light called or chasadim. Now, we don't know what it is yet, but obviously when we get to a state where we'll want to, from within ourselves, bestow, we'll feel this sensation called or chasadim, which is much lower than or chokhmah, which expands solely from the emanator. Or chasadim is associated with the intensification of the emanated, as it was mentioned, that the gevurah, which is a light that has been made coarser, became the root of the Or Hasadim. These three discernments together are called Bina, and the second Bechina from Chochmah. Thus, the two Bechinot, Chochmah and Bina, have been clarified, and the Keter is the Ein Sof, the root of the emanate. And although Bechina Bet manifested an intensified desire towards the operator, she is still unfit to be a complete vessel of reception. The thing is that in spirituality, the Kli with the light in it are very close, virtually interdependent. When the light disappears, the Kli is cancelled. And when the Kli disappears, the light is cancelled. Thus, the importance of the Kli is as the importance of the light. Hence, the form of the vessel of reception was not completed in Bina, since her essence is the Or Chochmah. For this reason, the Or Hasadim, which she extended through her own intensification, was annulled before her essence as a candle before a torch. Thus, this Or Hasadim expanded further from Bina to outwards from herself and gained strength to extend additional abundance, more than the measure of its expansion through Bina. At that time, the vessel of reception was completed. So Bina is not really enough to be a vessel of reception. So it has to develop further, even though its essence is Chochmah, because it's born from Chochmah, but its attribute is Hasadim. So Hasadim, it expands from Bina outwards from herself and gains strength to extend additional abundance, more than the measure of its expansion through Bina. So at that time, the vessel of reception was completed. It's completed when you can fulfill it as much as you can to that degree. So hence we discern two more Bechinot Gimel, which is the third discernment, and Bechinot Dalet, which is the fourth discernment, which are expansions that extend from Bina. So Chochmah gave birth to Bina, and now Bina is giving birth to further states, which are Gimel and Dalet, the third and the fourth. So remember, Keter, the Shoresh, is the first, is the root, and then we've got Chochmah, then we've got Bina, the second one, and then the third one is Gimel, and the fourth one is Dalet. Now I've got 5 here, okay? So you're thinking, why are you counting 4 when there are 5? Because Keter is the Shoresh, okay? So it's the Shoresh, you can call it 0 if you want. So Shoresh is 0. Then we've got Chochmah, Aleph, Bet, Bina. Gimel is the third phase, Zerampin that is. And then Dalet is the fourth one, which is Malchut. All right, so that's going to be coming up. So those are the 4 phases of direct light. In essence, he's explaining that to us. So let's see what else we've got here. So let me read that again. Hence, we discern 2 more Bechinot. Bechina Gimel, the third discernment, and Bechina Dalet, the fourth discernment, which are expansions that extend from Bina, where the vessels of reception is still hidden in potential as long as it did not intensify for addition. And this is called a Zerampin. And its intensification for more abundance is called the Kli of Malchut, which is a vessel of reception that was completed in that emanated, which is now made of light and Kli. By that, it stops being considered an emanator and is discerned as emanated. So we're actually, this desire to receive, not we, but the desire to receive is going through these 4 phases until it finally becomes this desire to receive, the emanated, the creature. These are the 4 Bechinot known as Chochma, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut. Sometimes it's read as Hub Tum as well. So instead of Zerampin, sometimes they use Tiferet. But here we've got Chochma, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut, which are the four-letter name. Hub are Yud Hey, and Zon are Vav Hey. Remember, Keter, Chochma, Bina, Zerampin, Malchut. It was the tip of the letter Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. All right. So this 5, the root 1, 2, 3, 4, is also named as Chochma, Bina, Zerampin, and Malkut. So we've got Keter as the root, and then it's Chochma, Bina, Zerampin, Malkut. So the name here is also Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. So Chochma, Bina, which is Yud, Hey, and then the Zon and the Malchut, the Zerampin and the Malchut, are Vav, Hey. Zon means Zerampin and Nukva. So it's like Zerampin and Malchut together are known as Zon. They're considered 10 Sefirot because Zerampin contains 6 Sefirot, which are Hesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Chod, Yesod. The thing is that the essence of Zerampin is the light of Hesed and Gevurah. Where are we? Just bear with me. Okay. The thing is that the essence of Zerampin is the light of Hesed and Gevurah, meaning the 2 Bichinot or Hasadim and upper Gevurah, which expanded from Bina outwardly. And we should note here that in Bina, Gevurah is the first and the root of the Or Hasadim. But in Tiferet, it is to the contrary. Hesed precedes the light of Gevurah, since the main light that expands is Hesed, and the Gevurah is ancillary within it in Bina. Now you can understand what was written in the Tree of Life and by Rashbi, that in the world of Nikudim, Gevurah, the Zerampin, preceded its Chesed. Since the Zon de Nikudim are considered Zon de Bina, and not the actual Zon, as in the 2 bottom Bechinot of the 4 above mentioned Bechinot. This is why Gevurah, the Zerampin, precedes Hesed. Also, the Sefirat Tiferet, the Zerampin, is the unification of the above Chochma and Gevurah to the act of the Kli of Malchut. It is called Tiferet since the light, Mitpa'er, boasts itself on the Bechina Aleph, which is the first Bechina, which is Chochma, whose desire did not suffice to make a Kli. But Bechina Gimel, which is Hasadim and Gevurot, that expand from Bina outwardly, sufficed to make the Kli of Malchut. This is the meaning of, according to the beauty, Tiferet, of a man to dwell in the house. This explains the 3 Sefirot Hagat, the Zerampin, and they are called the 3 patriarchs, Hesed, Gevurah, Tiferet. Since they are the essence of Zerampin, also Netzach, Chod, and Yesod are called sons, since they expand from Hagat. The thing is that because of Simson Aleph, the first restriction that is, which is thoroughly explained inside the book, a hard masach screen was made in the Kli of Malchut. This means that Bechina Dalet in the Kli Malchut detains the upper light from spreading into Bechina Dalet due to the disparity of form there, as it is written there. Yet the light expands and wishes to come to Bechina Dalet, as the nature of the upper light is to expand to the lower ones until it is almost separated from its place, as it is written in Panim Masbirot. Hence, a zivug, the haka, coupling by striking. was made between the upper light that spreads into the Kli of Malchut and the detaining Masach in the Kli of Malchut. This is like sunlight hitting a mirror with sparks being reflected. Hence, 10 new Sefirot emerged from this Zivug Dehaka, called 10 Sefirot, the Or Choser, reflected light. It turns out that there are 2 sets of 10 Sefirot in each emanated being. 10 Sefirot, the Or Yashar, over the 4 Bechinot, and 10 Sefirot, the Or Choser. Now, this is the upper light. This is the upper light that re-expanded from Hagat de Zerampin for Zivug de Haka in the Masach in Kli Malchut. They're called Netzach Hod Yesod. Now you can understand what is written in Tikkunei Zohar, that Malchut is 4th to the fathers and 7th to the sons. This means that when she is first emanated, Malchut is discerned from the act of Tiferet, the Zerampin, and follows the Hagat, which are called fathers. And from the perspective of the illumination of the Or Choser, in her Masach, she follows the Nehi that expanded to her for Zivug de Haka. And the Nehi are called the sons of Hagat. So there's Hagat Nehi, plus the Malchut is 7. Hence, it is the 7th to the sons. Thus, we have properly explained the essence of the 10 Sefirot, Kachab, Hagat, Nehi, and Malchut, at their root. This is the first concept in the wisdom of truth, and it must always be before the eyes of the student while delving in this wisdom. Now we understand the sound warning in the book of creation, 10, not 9. It means that since a detaining Masach was made in Bechina Dalet from the Simsum downwards, it is impossible to mistakenly say that Bechina Dalet is excluded from the 10 Sefirot, and only 9 Sefirot remain in holiness. For this reason, it warns 10 and not 9. And it warns further 10 and not 11. This means that you should not mistakenly say that Bechina Dalet became a vessel of reception after the Tzimtzum. Thus, there are 2 Sefirot in the Malchut. One is the Masach that always raises the Or Choser, and a vessel of reception to receive the Or Yashar as well. This is why it states 10 and not 11. Right, so that brings us to item number 3, but we'll give it a pause there. Then I think there's just one question. How could you explain the meaning of a created being? Is the created being like a prototype for the shattered souls that became creation? Well, up until what we read right now, the created being that it's talking about here is definitely not us. It's talking about how the desire to receive is being created. And the desire to receive is being created after 4 phases, which are Keter, Chochmah, Binah, Zerampin, and Malchut. And after those 4 phases, it becomes fit, it becomes ripe to receive the light of the Creator. Now, when that ripeness occurs, because it is a full vessel of reception, it's complete reception, it is known as being completely opposite to the Creator. So now you've got Creator on one hand, and you've got this desire to receive on the other hand. And because the Creator is complete bestowal, and this created Kli, the vessel, is complete reception, then now, because they're so opposite, you can say that this is now a created being. It is a new entity, completely detached from the Creator. Because if you recall, above it described to us what differences in form mean, right? In the form. So the creator's form is bestowal and the vessel is reception. So Malkut is the state where it is complete reception, and this is why it is completely disconnected from the creator. And from that disconnection, it needs to build the desire to receive what the creator wants to give, which is the abundance that we spoke about earlier on. So when going through those states, this vessel, this desire to receive, becomes something really unique, which never existed before, and is completely opposite to the creator. But we as Adam, or man, we're not even in the picture yet. Is the created being like a prototype for the shattered souls that become creation? We could say it's not a prototype, it's actually our essence. What is a prototype is what's called Adam in the Garden of Eden. That's more like a prototype. That's more like the design of everything. So here, when we're talking about the creation of the created being, we're talking about the desire to receive. So we're not talking about Adam yet, or we're not talking about man yet. We're not talking about us at all. We're not even in the picture here yet. This is completely disconnected from us. We're not in it at all. The 4 phases here is merely the creation of the desire to receive, which is our nature, and how it is opposite to the creator, and what phases it's going through. All right, so I guess that's it, right? There are no other questions, am I correct? All right, guys, we've finished item 1 and 2 here. There are quite a lot of questions here, I think. Anyway, it's worth reading always. Next week, we'll carry on with 3, and we'll see how we go. But just remember, there's no, when it's talking about the created being, there's no man here yet. There's no human here yet. We're just now come to the place where the desire to receive is created through 4 phases, which is root, 1, 2, 3, 4. And those are Keter, Chochmah, Binah, Zerampin, and Malkut. And inside Zerampin, there are also 6 Sefirot, Hesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzachot, and Yesod. So those 6 Sefirot are in Zerampin. So what he's just trying to describe to us is how that desire to receive was created. And how it is opposite to the creator, and what its nature is, what its essence is, and so on. All right, guys, I hope that helps. I hope that'll also be a good warm-up if you're watching the morning lessons as well. It's also good to read these things. It kind of like rubs in to the things that we're learning, and it gives us an extra desire to really delve into the material and to feel all these to feel all these phases that creation has been going through, because at the end of the day we're going to be feeling these. So by studying them, we can actually increase our yearning, the desire to live it, and that desire and the yearning is actually what moves us forward in spirituality. So until next Tuesday, all the best. Take care. Have a good one.